Hello, my fellow Charizard champions, and today we are going to be doing something a little different. This will be my first episode of What If, where I talk about the internet's most asked questions. So, let's begin. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. What if? Today's what if question is, what if Ben could turn into Pokemon? Now, this is a question that is sparked on through a conversation on the Inktank's Discord server. I started talking about what if Ben could turn into Charizard because that's my favorite Pokemon, or one of them at least. Everybody kept on insisting that Ben cannot turn into Charizard, and we weren't allowed to talk about it any further because it wasn't on a debates channel. But since we are on the wild world of YouTube, anything goes, and here I am to talk about with no one stopping me. Ha 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 ha! But anyway, seriously, this question has interested me for the longest time, and I've wanted to talk about it for the longest time. And since I have a YouTube channel, I have every excuse to talk about it. So, yeah. Yee. And I'm about to show you guys why Ben can turn into most Pokemon. Let's do this! Firstly, we need to go into the 3 rules of what makes a transformation in the Omnitrix. Number 1, it must be smart enough and have sapience. Number 2, it has to have DNA. Number 3, the DNA must be different enough from the host. I'm going to go from the hardest to the easiest, so this video will fly by fastly. So, let's start off with the first one. Are Pokemon sentient enough? Well, for some Pokemon, that's a definite yes, since there are a lot of hyper-intelligent Pokemon like Mewtwo, Lucario, and Alakazam, who has an IQ of 1,000. And keep in mind, the most that you can have for an IQ is 200. So Alakazam is breaking the limits of intelligence. So, good on you, Alakazam. But what about other Pokemon? In the episode of the original Pokemon anime, Island of Giant Pokemon, we can see that Pokemon have their own language and can talk in their own Pokemon way. And we can see from this line right here, the Pokemon obviously know Ash's name. So clearly Pokemon can even understand English. Not even the super intelligent ones, just the average Pokemon can understand English. Which makes sense because they would need to understand the commands of their Pokemon trainers. But what about more feral Pokemon like Gyarados or Onix? Well, I'd say that they are smart enough too, since how Ben can transform into feral creatures, but are still smart enough, like Wildmutt. And also, the reason why Ben can't transform into feral or animalistic creatures is because it would corrupt his mind. But we can see with Mega Evolution that Mega Evolution is only possible with the Pokemon and the trainer connecting their mind and soul with the power of friendship and their Mega Stones and whatever. So clearly, you can connect your mind with a creature as feral as a Gyarados with Mega Evolution and not have your mind go insane. And keep in mind, Gyarados is probably the most feral Pokemon, especially in his Mega form. So, yes, I do think that Ben would be able to turn into feral Pokemon like a Gyarados. Especially since what I said previously still applies to Gyarados, with Gyarados still needing to understand English and all that to use moves given by their trainers. And plus, Pokemon have a lot of personality and emotions and feelings. We can see that Pokemon get very depressed when they're left behind by their trainers, and have have a variety of different personalities. So clearly, these Pokemon have a sense of consciousness and lots of uh, uh, emotional and mental intelligence. So yes, these Pokemon are indeed smart enough for a transformation. What about the second rule about Pokemon needing DNA and whatnot? Well, Pokemon very clearly have DNA. In the first Pokemon game, Bill has a device that can change his DNA into a Pokemon. So clearly, Pokemon have DNA and it can be changed and whatnot. Plus, there's the DNA splicer from Black 2 and White 2. And also, Pokemon can breed and pass on their genes to their offspring. So, yes, Pokemon very definitely have DNA, especially the organic ones like Charizard, Pikachu, Venusaur, Magikarp, and all that. But what about more inorganic Pokemon like Magnezone, Gigalith, Magearna, or Gengar? Well, we can see that the Broad's definition of DNA is varied within the world of Ben 10, with Ben being able to turn into living energy and living sound like feedback and echo echo, and can turn into mechanical aliens like Clockwork and Atomics, and can turn into creatures that are uh, composed entirely out of minerals like Chromastone or Diamond Head. So rock Pokemon like Golem, Gigalith, and so on are definitely viable, and the mechanical ones like Magnezone, Magearna, and whatnot, and Genesets are definitely are compatible. And Ghost Pokemon definitely can, since they're because of the existence of Ghost Freak. Matter of fact, Ghost Freak is one of the very first transformations Ben can use. So yes, Pokemon do have DNA. Even the legendaries. Since Ben can obtain cosmic and multidimensional DNA, like from Nalgeans and Alien X. So yes, I do believe that even legendary Pokemon would be viable. Especially since some legendaries can even breed and make more legendary Pokemon. This is especially true with the bird trio, Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres, since they have variants of themselves, which means that there is a genetic difference and uh, evolution with even with some legendary Pokemon. So, yes, definitely Pokemon fits into that second rule. And finally, the last rule is pretty easy. The last rule is you need to have different enough DNA from the user. And since Ben is a human and doesn't have a tail in the shape of a thunderbolt, has 4 arms, or the ability to breathe fire or stop time, yeah, I do think that Ben's DNA is different enough from from Pokemon, like all of them. Like, there's not a single Pokemon with DNA close enough to Ben's DNA. Maybe the humanoids ones, but like, come on, they're definitely not human. So yeah. But there is something I do need to discuss about. There are actually some Pokemon Ben would not be able to turn into, like Porygon. It very clearly does not have any DNA. It's made purely out of code. And yes, it is living and sentient, I guess. I don't think that the Porygon line would be compatible for the Omnitrix. Or maybe it would. Maybe it would be like a nanomech situation where he would be able to fuse his DNA with this living code. Or maybe it would be like upgrade where he would be able to turn into it, but there would be certain limitations. So yeah. And I'm sure there are some other Pokemon that aren't compatible for the Omnitrix. I just haven't thought about what Pokemon would be or not. So, how about you discuss in the comment section below on what Pokemon wouldn't be compatible for the Omnitrix? But keep in mind, I basically just uh, proved that most Pokemon, like a large majority of Pokemon would be compatible for the Omnitrix. But there is one last question that we need to discuss. How would it work? So, Pokemon in the same evolutionary line are still the same Pokemon. They're just younger versions of themselves. Like a Charmander is a younger version of a Charizard, a Growlithe is a younger version of an Arcanine, and so on and so forth. So, if Ben were to transform into a Pokemon, it would transform into a Pokemon relative to his own age. So basically, relative to his own uh, own evolution, I guess. Like if he was still 10, he'd probably only be able to turn into the pre-evolved forms of Pokemon, like a Grubbin, but if he was a teenager, he'd be able to turn into a Charjabug, and if he was an adult, he'd be able to turn into a Vikavolt. Or maybe he would be able to transform into the pre-evolved form, but with enough training in that form, it would evolve, and then evolve, and if the Pokemon can evolve again, it would be able to evolve again with enough training or exposure to things that make that Pokemon evolve. Like, Vikavolt needs to be exposed to a lot of electricity, some Pokemon evolve with stones, and all that junk. So with Pokemon, so if he were to be able to turn into Pokemon, he would turn into their pre-evolved. He would either turn into their pre-evolved form and then train in that form to evolve, or go through the necessary requirements for that Pokemon in order to evolve. Or maybe, like I said, Ben would only be able to turn into that Pokemon to that Pokemon's final evolved form if he was an adult. So that's how I think it would work. As a matter of fact, this concept has inspired me so much. I've made 2 Pokemon transform. I have went ahead and collected 2 Pokemon samples for my own Omnitrix for me to be able to turn into, and I will collect more Pokemon DNA so I can transform into them. Here are those 2 Pokemon. Psycat. Dino Blade. I will continue to get more Pokemon DNA. So, look out. I'm going to be turning into a Heracross soon. Thank you all so much for turning in. And sorry, I meant to say tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'd really love to discuss about more questions. So if you have any more what if questions, or just questions about fiction and like your favorite like genres and like like movies and stuff like that, put your questions in the comments below, and I promise I will read them and maybe do a video about them. Alright? So, I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye!